Hey everybody, it's Mr. West. Just wanting to go over the Module 3 preview for you so you can see what we got coming up for Module 3. So let's dive right in and take a look at that. Okay, so as we can see, if we look at Module 3, we're going to be able to employ more in stages of the writing process. You're going to actually compose your first essay. So your first rough draft will be done during Module 3 this week or next week coming up. And that includes the introduction, body, paragraphs, and a conclusion. You're going to apply the elements of descriptive writing to your narrative. So you're going to be merging two different writing styles and you're going to be able to identify common sentence problems. Okay, so the reading assignments, once again, there are several kind of like the last couple weeks because we're building up. Remember, a lot of these are about the writing process. So remember, you don't have to read every single word, just skim through it so you can understand the points, right? So there's about 11 pages on how to write effective paragraphs in chapter 6. Drafting an essay, so the steps you go through to draft. Chapter 11, this is pretty important about description, so make sure to read the description section of chapter 11. And then in the handbook, there's a few pages on the concept of fused sentences, so you'll understand what that is. Then there are some other documents for you to read. You need to look at the organization and drafting lecture. You need to look at the body paragraphs lecture, the titles, introductions, and conclusions lecture, and the descriptions lecture. And all of those correspond to the chapters. So remember, these lectures help you understand the chapter material. Okay. Then we have down here, we have our paper 1 assignment. Okay. So remember, you've already been doing some pre-writing on these topics. So we want you to take a deeper look at this and turn this into an actual essay. So this is going to be a rough draft. It's going to be due on Thursday of next week. That is Thursday, September 10th. And you're going to follow all of the processes for how to make the paper exactly how it should look. So, you need to have, as far as the structure goes, you need to have a strong title. You need to have an introduction that contains a clear, sophisticated hook, an overview of the topic of the paper, and a strong thesis statement. Okay, the paper is going to have body paragraphs that each discuss one part of the story. Each will have a clear topic sentence, lots of details and examples, and a clear concluding sentence. And so things should go from one um, step to the other, and it should be in a logical, coherent sequence, okay? And then the paper is going to have a conclusion that reinforces the deeper point of the paper without just repeating the thesis or the topics of each paragraph. So keep in mind that when you're telling a descriptive narrative, like the story has to have a point. So we need to know what the point is at the end if it hasn't become clear, right? Also, keep in mind what I said during the class meeting earlier in the week that the introduction should often be written after the rest of the story has been done because you're writing this as a narrative, which is a story basically, but it's something that happened to you, and so it needs to include all the things that a narrative should include. It makes a point, it has dialogue, a sequence of events, it conveys action and detail, all of those things that you read in the book and saw in my presentation. But then it also has to include the elements of description this week. So you need to make sure it has a lot of detail, right? So you might need to write the story, then you go back and write the introduction so we understand the thesis of the entire narrative. Okay. And this isn't a fictional story, so I want to make that really clear. This is not a fictional story. This is something that happened to you. So you're going to think about these are the same topics that you've had. You think about the most important object you own, tell the story of how you acquired it, and eventually describe it and what it means to you, or describe a dramatic scene or shocking event which you witnessed and experienced firsthand. Using vivid details and descriptive language, tell the story of where it happened, who you were with, and relate the end result of the incident or event. Or other than your home or the home of a relative, what is the most important place in the world to you? And tell the story of the first time you went there, and eventually describe it and what it means to you. Okay, so those are the topics, right? So as far as development goes, each body paragraph should lead your readers through the story clearly. Each body paragraph will make use of description, including sensory details, figurative language, crisp diction and word choice, a clear dominant impression, which is part of narrative, and action-oriented verbs. As far as language, the style will be clear and direct, no extra wordiness or fluff. So the sentences will vary in length, and the paper will have a minimum of grammar errors. And you can see on my rubric, when you look at when we get to the assignment, you'll get to see what we're talking about there. For MLA formatting, okay, I put videos in module 2, so go back and watch those. The paper will be formatted in MLA, including 1-inch margins, double spacing, no extra spaces between paragraphs. So, you need to set that before and after to 0 in the paragraph formatting. It should already be set that way. 12-point times New Roman font, the heading with your name, my name, the course, and the date in this format, right? So you need to write for January 2020, like whatever the date is. So it'll be due on September 10th. So you'd write 10 September 2020. You don't write it out like this. Okay, the header needs to be 1/2 inch from the top of the page. Just watch the videos and you'll make it correct. A center title, paragraphs that are indented 1 tab or 10 spaces. So just do the tab to indent for each paragraph, and then left justified. Okay, so this is going to be tough for y'all, and this is why you need to start working on it as soon as possible. Paper 1 is going to be a minimum of 4 pages. This means 4 full pages, not 3 pages, and some writing on page 4. You will not meet the length requirement. Okay, paper 1 is worth 105 points, which means that the draft you turn in next Thursday will be 15 of those points. So if you don't turn in a rough draft next Thursday, you will not get those 15 points. Then the final 90 points are on the final draft. And you'll be judged on all of these things that are listed: structure, development, language, formatting, etc. Okay. The rough draft is going to be graded based on length and effort. So as long as you hit the 4 pages and I can tell that you worked hard, then you will get the full 15 points. If it's shorter, you're going to lose points. I might comment briefly on the draft. You're encouraged to use the tutoring resources. I'm not going to be able to read all 100 papers or 110 papers and give you meaningful feedback on your rough draft, only to turn around and grade your final as well. So I encourage you to make an appointment with the CLE, which we will talk about a little bit more during Friday's class, where you can have them help you look over your essay before you turn it in. Okay, and then you can click on this rubric and it'll show you kind of generally what we're looking for when we grade your paper. So go through that and just kind of see what we're looking at. Also, let me go back to the course content real quick. I'm sorry. All right. So when you get to the rough, so this tells you your pre-writing guidelines. So this gives you a walkthrough on what you need to do to write the paper. And it's pretty long and involved, so I'm not going to read the whole thing here. But this helps you figure out how to go from pre-writing to drafting, okay? And then when you go to the submission of the essay, you can click here to see my rubric. This is a simpler rubric. It's not popping up because I'm only showing one tab, but you can click here to see the rubric for any assignment, especially on major papers, and it'll show you, okay? Um, so, and then one really important thing to know when you're submitting these papers is if you write it in Word, you're fine. All you have to do is attach the file. Now, I suggest Google Docs because of the autosave feature and because we're already using a lot of Google things for other classes, so that way you're not switching back and forth between too many programs. But when you attach files, you need to know this. You have to go to Browse My Computer, or you can download a paper. So you need to go to Browse My Computer and you need to upload it. So let me show you something real quick. Okay, so we're going to look at this example that I had made last week, and I've made this into a slightly over 4-page paper because it should be about that length, right? It needs to be 4 pages, not 3 pages and some on the 4th page, but at least 4 full pages. So sometimes you might run over into the next page. So, if you've watched my video, you know how to do all this formatting. Remember that this number up here, you didn't type that number. Whatever you type in here is going to repeat on every page. So you need to make sure that the page number is inserted, and that was under Insert Page Number in the upper right-hand corner. We never ever click this box, or it's always going to throw off your MLA stuff. So notice that is not clicked. Do not click it. Okay, so once you've written everything in Google Docs, you can do this two different ways. So especially in Chrome, you just go to File and you go to Download PDF. And it just takes a minute, and the PDF ends up down here on the bottom corner, as you can see. You can also go to File, Download as docx, like a Word document. Remember, those are the two things it said in Module 1 that you are able to do. Okay, you are able to upload it either as a PDF or a docx file, no ifs, ands, or buts. So the reason I usually say to go with the PDF is because basically a PDF, it takes an image of the paper and it doesn't mess with the formatting. Sometimes when you download it as a docx, it changes things. So I recommend using the PDF. Okay, so that's one thing to know. All right, so we're going to go back over to the assignment now where it says upload assignment. So okay, so you can see this here. So really easily, rather than even having to browse your computer, if you've downloaded it in Chrome and it has it down here, you can just click it and you can drag it to right there and it shows the name of it. Now you could even be double safe and you could just upload a PDF and a docx if you want to be safe about it. And then what you do is you click submit. Okay, when you click submit, as it said in quiz number 1, what you should do is you should wait until you see your essay show up here before you leave. Okay, so I know it's in there now. I can see this. You see how the docx, that's the docx, and the PDF, it's still converting. So you can do either type of file, but you need to download it. If you put in a Google Doc, it won't show me anything at all. Okay, so I need you to know that. All right, and both of them look great. And then all you have to do is click OK, and you're good to go. And it'll take you back to the beginning. All right, so I hope that was very helpful for you. You have a lot of work to do for this week, so I'm going to let you get on to it. Thanks so much, and have a great day.